Today I'll be talking about modern realism through the lens of theater. Now, three primary questions that you need to ask are, what was the start of realism? And then what did or does, or what are the effects rather, that they have on society? Then lastly, how does it compare to other styles of theater? Now, the first thing you need to see in the start of realism is what led into it. Romanticism is thought to be the first thing that preceded realism. Now, with authors like Victor Hugo, who did Les Mis, or Alexandre Dumas, who did Count of Monte Cristo, or The Three Musketeers, very dramatic, melodramatic type stories rather, that were somewhat bound in realism, but a little bit more on the overdramatic side. Then it goes into early realism that was fathered by Heinrich Ibsen, a Norwegian playwright of A Doll's House, Hedda Gabler, who used very kind of basic characters, but with more dramatic actions. Someone like Anton Chekhov, who in this book, Drama and Reality by Ronald Gaskell, there was a depiction of him going to a production of Hedda Gabler by Konstantin Stanislavski, and he went to Stanislavski and said, he does not know what reality is. This is not what it is like. It begs the question of what aspects of realism are. And both of them would agree that there is believable characters, more realistic settings, more believable dialogue, rather than a Shakespearean type, holier-than-thou type way of speaking. And then you have to look at certain playwrights, like Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller, who had more everyday Joe Schmo type characters and situations. And in Susan C.W. Abbotson's book, The Modern Themes of Drama, you have telling of how The Streetcar Named Desire really brought about like homosexuality and different sexual proclivity to the forefront. And this is something that really brought realism into the limelight, which then that brings us to the effect it has on society. Now, you have to look at how it changed theater and the watershed moments of it. It changed theater by now it's no longer epic theater like ancient Greeks, where we're talking about gods, goddesses, kings and queens being dethroned and assassinated, and we're now talking about more relatable subjects, things that we can actually see ourselves in more believable situations. And then you have watershed moments of like great plays and great playwrights, and you have things like The Seagull, Doll's House, and you have the creation of different theaters and things that really brought about change in today's day and age. And then you have to compare different aspects of theater and different styles of theater. And the first one you have to look at is Romanticism, which we briefly touched on, but it's something that's very pathos, emotion-based. It's use of Sturm und Drang, or storm and stress, to bring about great impact. Then you have Naturalism, which is very similar to realism, but it's more taken to the next level. When you have 3 hours passed on a naturalistic stage, 3 hours have passed, where sometimes you have 3 hours passed and that could be 30 years. And then you have Surrealism, which is diametrically opposed to realism. It's like Ghost Sonata, it's something on stage that couldn't possibly really exist in true life, but it's for a sense of a story. All of them have their place, but it's something quite different.